Sportscast presents Hoops Talk, hosted by Alabama basketball legend Erwin Dudley and Sportscast contributor Ryan Krista. All basketball, from college basketball to the NBA. Listen to Sportscast Hoops Talk on digital radio, on the app, on your smart speaker, on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch.tv, and Facebook. Sportscast Hoops Talk. Rhythm, debate, layup, and dunk. Sports Talk Hoops Talk.
Hey everybody, welcome to Hoops Talk. I am Brian Chris. I'm usually joined by my man Erwin Dudley, but he couldn't make it this week. So I am with my good friend John Ross, former Liberty graduate, just as I am, and former NBA front office personnel here. We're just talking a little basketball here. Happening.
Hey, it's great to see you, Ryan. It's been a minute, but I love keeping up with you and your high school basketball team. And yeah, things have been good. We missed you out in Portland, though. We'd love to have you back out here sometime.
Oh, I love to go visit the Great Northwest again. Yeah. So, John is, like I said, former front office basketball person. You know, we're in the midst of that. We'll get to that there in a little bit. I think we watched a lot of basketball here, John, didn't we?
We did. We sure did. There wasn't anybody more than you or me who attended more Liberty and Longwood and Lynchburg and Virginia Military Institute basketball games.
That is true. That's true. Somebody, Coach Richie McKay calls a friend, John Ross. There,
yes.
You know, we're both big fans of the GOAT, Richie McKay, who's
he is the GOAT.
Bringing Liberty back to the forefront. You know, getting our man Darius McGee back this year is huge. You know, best little scorer in America.
Yeah, I still keep track of Liberty hoops, so that's the best thing Liberty has going right now. The football team's pretty nice too.
True.
So.
Yeah. I mean, that's good. You know, a lot of good things happening up in the mountain for sure. Before we get into a little NBA, you know, talking that, you know, we'll talk a little college just in general. What's the state of the game with the NIL just in college sports in general? What's your thoughts about that?
Honestly, I think it's wild. I am all for the student athlete being taken care of and being able to get what they deserve. Also, I feel that since it was such a long time coming, the pendulum swung the other way to where now it's just chaos because there was nothing in place to manage this. And so it's just the wild, wild west out there. You know, I do think, you know, the players deserve more of the piece of the pie. Like coaches can get paid so much and the facilities are amazing, and players, you know, they don't necessarily get to take the academic courses they want to study because they have to go to practice, and then they graduate with degrees. They really didn't I don't want to say for all athletes, but a lot of them, you know, didn't have to attend class. Like, we're aware of that. We were with sports management students at Liberty. Like, we did their work for them. Like, I get that's why I dropped out of sports management. I was like, this is ridiculous. I ain't doing these guys' homework. And so anyway, I get how the system runs. It's like they're athletes. So like, don't act like they're students. Like, you know, they should be taken care of athletes who bring value to the school. And if they would like to get a degree and study, they should have every opportunity to do that. And they should also have insurance packages to take care of, you know, the medical injuries they're going to suffer while they're in college that, you know, especially with football players that can last the rest of their lives that, you know, while they attend the college. So just some random thoughts from me.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it seems like college athletics in I would say even the last 3 or 4 weeks have just changed completely. It's just like, it's kind of like you said, unintended consequences of the NCAA kind of turning their back and, you know, saying this will never happen. And now, like you said, the richer and richer, it seems like, you know, especially, you know, like transfer portal. I mean, college basketball transfer portal is out of control. Like,
it's out of control. I know I like it, but it's also out of control. Like, I think players deserve to be able to move, especially since coaches can move. but it's also just created so much chaos because they didn't have, guidelines in place for all of this. So
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully, we can find the, middle ground. I'm all about everybody,
totally.
getting what's theirs. I can go out and get a college jersey that some guy, now hopefully be able to. But I think,
Yeah.
they're hoping,
Yeah.
this would start, in small town America where colleges are, endorsement deal from, a car dealership not getting, millions of dollars from boosters,
Totally.
the
Yeah.
transfer
That's
from, one school to another. I mean,
yeah.
we could go on,
That's
this,
it's really it's always been challenging to regulate, and now it's even more challenging.
so luck to whoever is the new NCAA president,
Oh, for real. Good luck.
to just as NCAA basketball is ever changing the NBA landscape and basketball. So just kind of filling people. What year did you start and working in the NBA? How has the NBA business model changed since you first started?
Yeah, so I attended Liberty with Ryan, had a dream of working in the NBA, applied for every team to do anything. Ended up getting a video coordinator internship with the Portland Trailblazers, which was a dream job. It was, unpaid internship, hopped in my car, drove from Virginia to Portland, left the next day, and started an internship with the Blazers, which turned into a position as a video coordinator with the coaching staff. And then after 6 years, I moved over to the front office side, and I was the personnel video coordinator. So breaking down scouting film, international, NCAA, G League, and preparing for the draft, free agency, and personnel moves with the team. So I did that for 15 years up until this January. And 15 years. When I first started as a video coordinator, like everything was on DVDs and things. The Boston Celtics, they were still using VHS tapes. This is 15 years ago. It's crazy because they had an old coach on the team, so they needed a VHS. So, like 2 years later, DVDs were phased out and everything was in the cloud. And so, a lot of us in the NBA wondered, like, oh my goodness, will this phase out the jobs of video coordinators and everything? Because there's just so much information accessible and all kinds of companies. And then turned out they needed more video guys, more analytics teams, more because there was so much more information. Sports scientists, staffs just started growing because there was so much information and so much competition for the best use of that information. And a lot of the coaches and management didn't understand how to process that information, so they need to hire people to present video, to present analytics, to present sports science. And so staffs in the NBA have really grown. Obviously, the game has changed from being back to the basket to just 3-pointers. Analytics really changed the game of how it's played. And so I've seen a lot of different changes there. And obviously, salary cap blew up, and free agency's become much bigger thing. So a lot of changes in the last 15 years.
What team or players do you think NBA for what it is today?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, LeBron going to Miami was just a huge change for, super teams, free agency. And then, Steph Curry revolutionized the game by, shooting 35, 40 footers with ease, as my man Damian Lillard does as well. But that really revolutionized how the game's played. Not Daryl Morey played a big impact in how Houston played and how he used Harden, and there's been a lot of key figures of changing the game.
Yeah, I mean, me and you, we grew up, in the '90s, in those games that were in the '80s, the Bulls and Pacers and Heat and
Mm-hmm.
Knicks. I mean, teams are in the '80s, and early in the third quarter. Now the game is, much more wide open, and
Yeah.
I personally attribute a lot of that change, to the Phoenix Suns, back in the
Mm-hmm.
early, Mike D'Antoni,
Yeah.
it was always a big thing,
It's a good
when they
one.
went, 100 team, but now I mean you got to get to 110 just to compete, and
Totally. What's crazy too is
you
like
know,
statistically and analytically, like when they look back at those Suns teams, which were so outpacing the rest of the NBA, now they're like below average to current NBA.
Kelly changed it, college football, fast-paced offense. Maybe he isn't as fast as
Hmm.
everyone. With basketball, you kind of
Yeah.
so as an NBA executive, what are personnel teams looking for compared to when they're trying to build a roster compared to when you first got in the
It cut out a
NBA?
little bit, but I think I heard the general. Can you hear me?
What are if you're
Yeah.
looking to build a roster, what
Hmm.
through the draft free agency, what difference between what the player you're looking for? Okay.
Yeah, I would say hopefully you can hear me, but when I started 15 years ago, we didn't even have an analytics person on our staff, and I was probably there 2 or 3 years, and we hired Ben Falk, who many people might know from cleaning the glass and from he ended up being the vice president of the Philadelphia 76ers with Sam Hinkie. Um, but we hired him as a part-time analytics guy. That was our first analytics person with the Portland Trailblazers. And then, he hired a guy, and Ben ended up being full time, and we brought him out to once he graduated college, he came out to Portland, and pretty soon, NBA teams were having 20 analytics guys on their staffs breaking down everything. So the analytics have just grown, and there's a lot of analytics available online that people see, like Cleaning the Glass, Second Spectrum, Synergy. But a lot of teams, including like the Trailblazers, like they use their own staff to create their own analytics tailored to their own team. So a lot of teams, even though there's so much information widely available, they use things that are very specific to what their staff is looking for, whether that's on a front office side or a coaching staff.
Be more. Do you hear me, John?
Yeah, I feel like the game is going to continually change. I mean, even like we talked about NCAA, like the pendulum swings, like we'll see that same thing in the NBA. I feel like eventually defenses will come back and be important, and people will probably get some back to the basket players again, and there's going to be a constant evolving of the game.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you're building a roster, I feel like now you got five good athletes that can guard five. Switching because it's switching and easy. What player what uh, front offices are looking for. Who's the player? I mean, I've watched a lot of basketball. Who's your go-to player? If you just want to watch a game, who is the player you're going to look to watch for
Um,
analysis?
I mean, I may be a little biased, but Damian Lillard is my favorite player to watch. And currently, I love watching Ja Morant. The Grizzlies have something special there. They're a really fun team to watch. I love how they play and how they built that team. Desmond Bain and Dylan Brooks and Jaren Jackson. They got a lot of ballers there that are fun to watch.
Absolutely. My fit in every day how the front office is transforming, and
Say that again.
oh, I just kind of, just going, it just seems like the Grizzlies in the last couple of
Hmm.
years have really hit home runs on every single
Yeah,
one
they
of their
have.
draft picks, and it's kind of led to, fast paced, rebuild. I think Taylor Jenkins is one of my favorite coaches just because, he built a system, and um, the players, between, like you said, John Moranger and Jack Dylan Brooks, it just seems like they
Hmm.
haven't missed with any of their Desmond Bain, and kind of just filling in the gaps,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
in that
They've
regards,
built something sustainable there for sure.
I said, finding, so, you're kind of in this hiatus, in your professional basketball journey here, what's next for you, John? What are you up to?
Yeah, so a couple years ago, I wrote a couple of articles online, like 3 ways to get a job in the NBA, 3 ways to get an internship in the NBA. And those like really took off, went, viral per se on the internet. And so I started writing some more articles just to help people who are looking to get in the NBA. Like I said, I worked for the Blazers 15 years. I helped hire interns in our front office and with our coaching staff. And so really got familiar with, the process and what teams are looking for and what skill sets, what experience guys and gals needed to have an opportunity to work in the NBA. So I started a website, Get in the Game 101.com. It's most accessible through Substack, so Get in the Game 101.substack.com, where I post a bunch of those articles. And then more recently, I'm launching a draft cohort class. So we're super excited about that. So that's May 17th. Next Tuesday, we'll have our first cohort. So anyone who's looking to get, behind the curtain look at how an NBA process runs, we're going to have, coaches, scouts, performance coaches, medical agents, and just different people to speak at class to, give the students just an opportunity to see, what's it like to be a part of an NBA draft. And then throughout the class, we're going to have people be building their own big boards, their top 60, top 100 prospects, and taking what they learned from, the analytics guys and the combine and those kind of things. And, we'll put them in cohorts to have a mock draft at the end of class. So, yeah, you can find that as well at the site and Get in the Game 101.substack.com, and would love to, have some of you guys in class.
Absolutely. It's a great opportunity for anybody out there. I love NBA. I love college basketball. When you can combine both of them, it's awesome. John, if you're taking number one in draft, who you're going to take? This big board.
Oh my goodness. Honestly, I love the big three at the top, but it's hard to pass on Jabari Smith because I just feel like he's got the complete package inside out. He's got the body, he's offense, defense. So uh, it's hard to see him missing. I just feel like he's got a chance to be really special.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Brian, is good to be on the pod here.
Chet Holmgren could put on this weight, would you number one? I
Yeah,
don't know if you
Chet could
heard.
be Chet. No, I heard Chet putting on weight. I think that'll
If
be
you
a
could
very
predict
very
that,
important.
Chet Holmgren could put on, 20 pounds of weight, would that make a difference in him being the number one slam dunk pick?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got a very high ceiling. I think, his body frame, his injury potential is
All right,
what
Johnny. Yeah, definitely.
people will look at that could be a knock on him. And, some of that
That's
stuff's
all
not
you
even
got. Some internet
necessarily,
issues, no
yeah,
problem. But it's really good to talk basketball with my good friend John Ross.
great talking to you, Ryan. All right. We'll catch you later, brother.
Catch up again.